Hello, and welcome to this week of Fredonia Faces. I'm your host, Sydney Smith. Today on our show, to start off, we are interviewing students that have studied abroad for semesters in countries around the world. Later on, we have two amazing divers from our Fredonia swimming and diving team, here to talk about their successful season. Well, hello guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
So Liza and Matt.
Yes.
All right, so you guys studied abroad and you guys are both juniors. Tell me about your experience. You guys both went to Russia, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about it.
It was definitely, it was really crazy, honestly, just to go to such a different culture and just to step in and just be surrounded by people who had a completely different upbringing and different views as myself. And it's just really, it's a really different experience. Like your world just expands instantly.
Yeah, I only went there, I wanted to go there because how many people can say they've been to Russia? That was my home mentality, and that was the only reason. So when I went there, like I said, we've talked about before, I've traveled before, but it was nothing like any other place in Europe. You know, you can't go there with any expectations. So that was really interesting to see kind of that unfold. And we were lucky we had a good group that all kind of got along really well.
How many of you guys went? It was this past summer?
Yes.
Okay, so how many were in the group?
There was about 20 of us, actually.
18 or
It was
20,
pretty
yeah.
big.
20? That is a
considering-
pretty big group, yeah.
Really
They were
good
very
sized group, yeah.
surprised.
Was everyone the same age, or was it all different ages, or?
No, we actually had
Very random.
Yeah,
Really?
I was gonna say, we
Yeah.
had people as young as 18 or 19.
I was
and
the
as old as-
youngest. Yeah, I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
and I was the youngest. But then,
Greg was 28.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we
Oh,
had.
wow.
Yeah,
So you had a wide range of
yeah,
people.
and
Cool.
not even everybody from Fredonia. There was 2 students who came from 2 other SUNY schools.
Oh, right, because it's through a SUNY program?
Yes.
Okay.
Rockport and Cortland. I
In
believe.
Cortland and Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was Binghamton, I think.
Binghamton.
Binghamton?
Yeah, Emma went to Binghamton.
Wow, that's really
Yeah.
cool. So tell me about so you have traveled before?
Yes.
But what drove you to go to Russia?
I just wanted to keep traveling regardless.
Yeah.
When I got out of high school, right after graduation, 2 days after graduation, I went on this trip for 3 weeks and went to 7 or 8 different countries. And then that coming summer, I was like, I just got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose
Keep
momentum.
going.
So I had class with one of the teachers that were taking us there, and did this whole presentation. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Who gets to go to Russia?
Yeah.
I called my mom, okay, I'm going.
Yeah, it's such a great experience.
Yeah.
What drove you, Matt?
I'm the first American born in my family here, so most of my family is very Eastern European, and there wasn't any classes on that here, but the closest thing I could get was Russian history. And so I got really, really interested in Russian history, and actually my major now is history with concentration in Russian history, and so I was approached by one of my professors about this trip, and I was like, heck yeah,
Yeah,
it sounded awesome, and it was.
that's awesome. And it was how long? 3 weeks in the
Yeah,
summer?
About,
roughly.
yeah.
And it was the beginning of the summer, so once you were done with school, you just went,
3
I think
days
we
after.
left,
Really?
2
Yeah,
days
yeah.
after graduation.
wow.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you guys did in Russia as a group?
We did as a full group. We did a lot of we saw a lot of museums. There was a lot of really cool stuff. There was a music museum in Moscow we went to, and a museum of curiosity in St. Petersburg we went to.
What's that? Tell me more about that.
It's a giant collection of cultures, basically. So each room was a different theme. There was things from Japanese cultures to American Indians. And then there was a whole room on the birth of surgery and stuff, which had a bunch
that
of
was
weird
crazy.
body parts and stuff. in
It
it.
was so crazy and controversial, you can't take pictures.
Yeah.
Really?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's more mental memory?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
Well,
you
not
Couldn't
necessarily.
really forget it.
Yeah, that was more like it.
But other than that, we went to the Hermitage. Which
Yeah,
is
we went to big palaces, and the typical stuff, boat rides.
we saw the Nutcracker in ballet.
Oh, that
in
was
St.
awesome.
Petersburg. That was
Yeah,
really cool.
the famous, the St. Petersburg
Because
ballet.
I've seen, obviously, I'm from Rochester, and I've seen it in Rochester, but
Yeah, so
how was it
I've seen
different
it where-
there? What was it? Was it just different?
Just a totally different experience.
Yeah.
I've gone when I was younger. I went with my school to, a local performance of it,
Yeah.
and it's much more serious over there.
Really?
Russian ballet is
They
renowned.
take it very seriously?
Yeah,
Very
and
talented.
Very, I'm
unbelievable.
sure, yeah.
And there were kids as young as 3 years old
That were
on
in
field
it?
trips. No,
Oh.
on field trips
I was like,
there, and they're so involved. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't, and the magnitude of the opera house was it in an opera house?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
it was like a 4-story
Nothing
high
like-
opera house, and like
Wow.
it was packed completely.
Yeah.
So it was
That's
really Cool.
awesome.
It was really cool.
Very extravagant.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nothing like here.
So that's awesome. That's a great experience. What was the food like there?
So okay, well, nothing's in English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very
So you
difficult.
didn't know
Yeah.
like what
We
you were
relied
eating,
on a lot of
or-
pictures.
Okay.
It's fish and potatoes kind of thing. Not
Yeah.
really. It's actually, well, we had this really good dinner at in Moscow actually. This place called Korchma. There's one in New York City if you ever get a chance. But they had like all traditional like Russian and like Eastern European.
Ukrainian,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ukrainian meals, and it was like we got borscht, a bunch
Oh,
of different
yeah.
sausages.
You
Borscht
I don't
probably
even know what borscht is.
it's a
It's
beef
just-
based
yeah,
soup.
it's just soup.
It's really good.
Nice.
Doesn't sound good. But
Yeah.
it is. It's
I
like
actually
this-
did
But it
have
is.
Huh?
I never had it.
Yeah, I've never had it.
Yeah, like when we were there, I actually never ate it. I ate like pierogies.
Love pierogies.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing. There was a food truck outside of our dorm where we were staying, and we paid like 20 rubles for homemade, fresh pierogies, which is like 20 cents in American.
What?
It's like
I was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
Tell me about like
Yeah.
the money conversion thing. How did you do that?
Sorry,
It's
go ahead.
no, it's okay. It was like every $1 is 50 rubles. So like 1,000 rubles was
Yeah.
like only $20.
Whoa, that
Yeah.
sounds like
Yeah,
really
it was
expensive.
totally in our favor.
But then it's really in your favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would get dinner for $10. Like
Oh my
that was
And like
so
pretty
cheap.
like fancy.
Oh no,
dinners, too.
great
Yeah,
dinners,
yeah.
burgers, and that would include if we had like maybe a drink with it.
Yeah.
$10.
Wow, what a
Easy.
deal.
Yeah.
That's
It was
great.
nice, it was nice.
So you had a nice variety of like seeing like different, I mean, there's a Nutcracker and like
Yeah.
museums, great food.
Well, you know what food is really good, unexpected? I don't know if you had it. Russian pizza.
What's Russian pizza?
It's
It-
no, it's just
it's
pizza,
just
but they
amazing.
make-
But it's
yeah,
just in Russia.
yeah,
Okay.
Like,
they're
however
really good
they-
at making pizza.
I don't know. Like I love pizza. I'm
Yeah.
Italian. Like
Yeah. I mean, who
I could
doesn't
eat
love pizza?
well,
right?
I could eat pizza every day.
Yeah.
And I don't like cold pizza normally, right?
And it was
So
cold?
we would buy like big ones
Yeah.
and have it for leftovers.
And then you'd have it cold sometimes, and it was still
so good. I probably had it like 4 times.
I mean, I don't blame
and
you. I do the same thing. That sounds awesome.
I could say so many good things about
Was it like
pizza.
a thick crust or a thin crust? Or?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
thinner pizza.
and I actually
Yeah.
had
That's how much
Russian
fun.
vegetarian pizza there too, and like I'm not vegetarian.
Yeah. And it was
but,
still
like,
good?
Oh my God,
That's
the
awesome.
things you could do,
I remember.
wonderful.
That's awesome. Well,
I-
we have about like 1 minute left, but just to wrap up, what do you guys want to say to the viewers about studying abroad? You know, any tips or whatever, like just to let kids know like why they should study abroad?
Do it. Just do
Yeah,
it now.
there's
do
never
it while
gonna
you
be a-
can, because if you don't do it in college or you don't do it the next couple of years, you probably never will. So
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
it, and you should.
This is the most feasible time to do it.
Yeah.
So many ways to get around it, and it's the best way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys definitely have.
And he's
encouraged
even
me to-
planning a trip, so
Yep.
Where?
I'm planning a student. It's a student-organized humanitarian trip to Ukraine. Shameless plug for the moment. There's a GoFundMe, Greg Wilkins, Operation Rebuild Ukraine. But we're trying to raise money for the program to buy like food and supplies for the volunteers and to build houses and stuff for the people that need it.
That's so great. I'm glad that you got to say that. Well, great. Thank you. I'll look into that. Well, thank you both. We have 2 more study abroad students, Rachel and Maria, coming in to talk to us after a short break.
Glucose plus oxygen equals carbon dioxide plus water
Hey, Gio, what's up?
and energy. Superior vena cava, pulmonary artery, coronary
I'd
artery.
like to pass them back to you now.
For chem
Very
tissue
pleased with
types
your
of
work.
endoplasmic reticulum with ribosomes 3 o'clock already and without. Copy of the skeletal anatomy notes for chem cycles chem velocity axis skeletal anatomy Thursday. The lobes of the cortex.
She's got the drive,
Cranial volume.
the energy,
Ventral, parietal,
the heart,
and occipital.
and the talent.
Cortical motor output. Vena cava.
Pre-med.
Different
But she wouldn't be here
evolutionary development.
without your help. Please support the United Negro College Fund, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Syllabus for Chem 2.
And we're back with 2 more study abroad students. So, ladies, how are you tonight?
Good. Great.
Great. Thank you for coming. So tell me, let's do one at a time. Tell me your name, your major, and then where you went to study abroad.
My name's Maria. I'm a junior social studies, adolescent education, and history major, and I studied for a whole semester last spring in England.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Great.
I'm Rachel. I'm a senior public relations major, and I studied abroad last spring in Ireland.
Awesome. All right, well, let's start with England over here. So tell me about England. What drove you to like pick, well, what made you want to study abroad and why'd you pick England?
I've always known I wanted to study abroad. That was something coming into college I knew I wanted to do. And as a history major, I've always been obsessed with England. I've loved their history. I loved the architecture there. So I knew that's where I wanted to go. And I studied in Norwich, England, which is 2 hours outside of London. And it was a really nice small town where I really got the feel for English everyday life. But I was also close enough to London where I could go there for the day, spend the day there, and then come back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was it like every day? How long were you there for?
The whole semester.
So, okay,
yeah.
so it was a semester thing. And what was your daily life like there?
Well, I had classes only 3 days a week, so
That's
it's
nice.
a lot easier than what I'm used to here. So
Yeah.
I lived in a dorm, they called it a flat there, and there was 14 of us in there. And I had a roommate, and my roommate was also from America, and then one other girl was from America, and then everyone else was British.
Okay.
So it was really cool to get to live with, especially the British students, to see like
Right.
the differences, like how they grew up, and just really get to know them. And we were all really close friends, so it's a really nice kind of like family type
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, it was a small group, 14 of you?
Yeah, and they all lived together in the fall semester, and then when we came in, they were super close, and we just kind of jumped right in their group and
That's
became
so
really close
cool.
with them. So yeah, it was great.
What did you learn about them that was so different from you here in America?
It was honestly pretty similar. They grew up really similar to us. The main difference that I learned was their education system. They only do 3 years of college, so when they go in, they go right into their major. And that was interesting to me because I was taking classes there not for my major pretty much. So to be in classes with kids that were in their major,
That's so cool.
I wasn't, so that was
Yeah.
different but really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And Rachel, tell me about your experience.
Okay, well, I was in Dublin, Ireland for 4 months.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I went alone, like
Wow,
completely alone.
props
Didn't
to
know
you.
anyone from Fredonia, no one from any other schools. So traveling there was kind of scary at the time.
Right.
My parents weren't too fond of it, but I was like, it's fine. However, I did study abroad in high school for 2 weeks. I went to Spain, so that kind of like gave me the interest to
That's
go
what
even
made you
farther.
wanna
Yeah,
do it
you know,
again?
it just made me more interested in traveling because I was like, wow, I can do this as a high school student. I can't imagine what college will be like. And I went to a school called Griffith College, and I only took 3 courses as well, so it was super laid back compared to America.
Yeah.
We did study though, so don't worry. And
You did get work done,
yeah,
of course.
I mean, there was work, but it was a ton of travel, a ton of culture, you know, experiences, and it was just really cool to have. And I want to go back. We talk about it every single day. Me and Maria. We just want to go back, and
Oh, I'm sure.
you know, it was definitely life-changing. And the Irish culture isn't as different. You know, they speak English in a
Right,
way.
and same with London or England
Yeah,
and everything.
exactly.
Like,
So
you
it
could
wasn't
understand
that
each
much
other, it's just
different,
the
but
accent.
just like the scenery and everything was
Yeah.
just so beautiful and natural, and you know,
a lot of green, right?
yeah, it's called the Emerald Isle.
Yeah.
So it's just so many green hills. I
That's
was in
awesome.
the city, so it was more, you know, kind of like city-like, but no skyscrapers, no tall buildings. It was all pretty like small and intimate.
Yeah, that's so cool. My parents went to Ireland. They said the same exact
Yeah.
thing. They were there for like a week, and they
Yeah,
said
and
it
the
was just
people
very
are
green.
so
The
nice.
friendliest people, right?
So nice, yeah. They didn't hate us at all. Like,
Yeah, they're
you know,
very, like,
some Europeans are
welcoming,
like,
yeah.
Oh, Americans, and we're like, they like took us in and loved us. So
Did you have nice people there?
Yeah, I was in, like I said, a small town, so
Right.
just like walking around the town, people would say hi to you
Yeah.
and then realize you didn't have an English accent.
Yeah, and then you're
anymore.
like, what?
But yeah, I loved it so much. They were
Yeah?
all great.
That's so great. That's awesome. So what were the classes that you took? You both took 3 courses, right? So, and it was just 3 days a week, both of you?
well, mine was like one was once a week, and then the other 2 were 3 days a week.
Okay.
So it was very sporadic.
Yeah.
I took all electives because being a communication major, I saved them. And,
Yeah, that's smart.
So I took a U.S. history, an Irish history course, an enterprise development course, which was like a business class, and then a creative writing course.
Nice.
So it was all different, which was
Yeah.
nice to have. Yeah.
Cool. What did you take?
I took 2 history classes. One, it was the history of the Holocaust, which was really interesting
Wow,
to
yeah.
learn so much more in depth about
That is very interesting.
And then I took a European colonialism class, which is kind of a lot of things I've learned, but just learning it again. And then I took an art class there, which is really interesting because I know nothing about art.
Yeah, neither do I. So you guys learned a lot, obviously, in school, but outside of it, too.
Yeah.
And then tell me a little bit just like what you would do in your free time.
Okay, well, travel. I would leave my room like whenever I could.
Yeah, you want to get out there.
I was only in there when I slept. And I did weekend trips all the time. So I went to Edinburgh, Scotland for a weekend, which was super fun. We literally got on a plane, stayed there for 24 hours and left. And you can do that over there and for super cheap too.
It's easy, right? It's very easy to do.
I mean, the flight was like 45 minutes. And I'm pretty sure it was like 20 euros to fly there, which in the US it's like $15.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool, and we would just kind of just do weekend trips and just embrace the culture. As you know, simple as that is, you would just walk around the city and eat food and meet new people and try out pubs and
pubs. Those are always a good time.
You know, lots of Guinness everywhere.
Yeah. That's awesome. How about you?
Same. I traveled a lot too. I went to 8 countries total while I was there.
Wow.
I did my spring break was 3 weeks long, and my mom came over and visited, so we did 6 countries in 3 weeks, which was crazy.
And so you had your mom there, that's fun.
Yeah, so I got to see a lot of different places, and just being a history major, it was really cool all the places I read about in textbooks, I actually got to see. And
right, you had a first-hand experience instead of just learning about it, like you really were in it.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. So yeah, traveling and just hanging out and doing new things every weekend was super cool.
Do you guys still talk to your friends that you made there?
Yeah, I actually visited them for spring break.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
they 3 of them go to University of South Carolina, so I just flew down there and we celebrate St. Patrick's Day together.
Oh my God,
which
that's
was
perfect.
super fun. So yeah, we talk all the time. We do group chats, we do Skype sessions. I mean, for us in particular, like we met new people while we were over there, and that was really cool because it's scary at the time, but you have all these new friendships that you probably would have never met if you didn't go there. And now we can see each other across the country of the United States and stuff.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So we have just about under a minute left. Is there anything that you guys want to say to the viewers about studying abroad, why they should do it, just to wrap up?
I would say the same thing the last 2 said.
Yeah.
Just do it. It was definitely the best thing I've done being at Fredonia so far, and I don't regret any of it. I loved it so much.
And you can get credits and you can travel places well. You know, it's a great time to do it in college because it's, you know, beneficial for your education and your life.
And your life. You have a great experience while you're getting work done.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I really want to do it, so I'm hoping that it works out.
Should.
But I don't really know where I'd want to go because I kind of want to go everywhere. So.
Well, we didn't know either, and then they help you and you can figure it out, and it works out great. So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Thank you guys for coming on, and
thank you.
Hopefully more people will travel. And I want to travel anyway, but like study abroad, that is. So. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on to Fredonia Faces. Our last interview is coming up after a short commercial break. Host Nunnet Clitandre will be with Erin Carlson and Megan Bartlett from the swimming and diving team.
Go to jail for a gun crime, and your family serves a sentence with you.
Back on Fredonia Faces with 2 very talented divers from the swimming team and diving team, Erin Carlson and Megan Bartlett. Welcome, guys, first off. I've heard great things. You guys have accomplished a lot in your entire career here at Fredonia. So first off, just tell me a little bit about yourselves. Like, what's your major? What do you do?
My name's Aaron. I'm a junior here this year. My major is geology. I have a minor in GIS, and I'm a diver on the team.
I'm a junior as well, and I'm a management major. That's about it.
All right, so first off, Erin, when did you begin to swim? Like, when did it all begin for you?
Well, I transferred in high school my sophomore year, and I was a wrestler and a cross country and track runner, but they didn't have wrestling at my new school, and wrestling's a winter sport, so my cross country coach coached the swim team, and he told me to try out. So I just did it to be with all the cross country kids because I was in a new school, and I had already made friends with them, so I knew it was going to be a decent time, and I just happened to get on the board and
So you don't have
start
any, like,
diving.
formal training with swimming? Diving?
No, I learned to dive until I got to college. I learned to dive through YouTube. My coach knew a little bit, but in all honesty, I watched Greg Louganis, who is the #1 diver in history of diving from any country, and I kind of learned through watching that stuff, and then proceeded to just try to get better until I got to college when someone actually taught me how to do it.
So what made you join the NCAA? Like, when did swimming become more than a hobby for you?
I think it really became my passion when I hit my senior year at high school. I was all right sophomore and junior year. I had won sectionals my junior year for my high school, but my senior year, I went to a camp for the first time, a summer camp for diving, and it really, like, I got to meet all these people and really see what the sport could become, so I kind of fell in love with it, and I chose to do that in college over track and cross country because it felt more natural to me.
All right, well, we're gonna show a video of Aaron diving for about a minute, so. I know you're a geology major. I'm a geology major too, actually. And I know that the department can be quite rigorous. I know that Professor Baird, you know him? I know that he's a professor that you kind of need to study a lot for. So, like, with the rigor required for geology and diving, how do you balance the two?
I try to balance it like any other student athlete here at Fredonia. The Fredonia is really good with allowing their student athletes to do a lot of things. With diving, it becomes a little bit more intensive because one of the big meets that we have, that me and Megan have both made, is nationals, and you lose a week of school for that, which is the week of midterms. It's right before spring break, and it's really rough. However, the school, and especially the geology department for me, has been really good at allowing me to make up work and do work ahead of time. And even I took one of my midterms at nationals over break. So it's a lot of work being a student athlete and trying to incorporate your time into both diving and such as geology. But it's definitely manageable if you want to really push yourself. And the teachers here are pretty good at allowing for you to do that.
That's really cool. All right, we're going to show a couple clips of Aaron in action diving.
Oh, no? Yeah, and then if you can put your mind
does it take to actually be a diver? Like, what is your pre-meet routine?
Oh, pre-meet routine. Well, for what it takes to be a diver, it takes a lot of coordination. You have to be mentally prepared. Diving is the most mental sport that I've ever participated in versus running and everything because it's a whole different story. A lot of the times you're flipping towards the board, which is a very long, hard piece of plastic, and it's not fun.
Hit your head?
I haven't hit my head, but I've hit the board with every other part of my body besides my head multiple times. But for meets, you go through, like I said, it's a mental sport, so you go through in your mind each one of your dives. One of the big things I do is called a dry land practice, and if you watch a lot of the Olympic guys or any other college athletes, they'll just basically do a walkthrough. So instead of doing the flips, they'll walk down like they're gonna hurdle, and then they'll stand up and do different body positions while staying on the ground to help you kind of picture what you need to do.
That's cool. All right, so we also have Megan Bartlett here, female diver in Fredonia, and I understand you've had a pretty big accomplishment recently. Can you tell us about that?
Well, my performance at Nationals was good enough to get me to Diver of the Year for SUNYX, which I got last year too, but I did a lot better at Nationals. So,
so I have to ask the same question I asked Erin. When did it all start for you? When did you begin swimming?
Well, I was a dancer for a really long time. My mom was a dance studio, and I wanted to do a school sport, so it was between cheerleading and diving, and my friend Hannah Paulsgraf, that went to school with me, suggested I try diving, and it kind of just took off from there.
So you also have no formal training in swimming or diving either?
Well, I have a little bit more than Erin. We had a dive coach, but she was basically the swim coach, and she'd watch every once in a while, and after a year, I started driving down to RPI, which is in Troy, New York, which was about an hour from my house. So I would drive down there about 3 times a week and get help from my coach. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So how long exactly have you been doing it?
I started probably, as a freshman in high school. So
that's pretty cool. So like, do you have any plans in the future for diving? Do you want to stop after college or keep pursuing it?
I think I'll probably always dive because I just have a really great time doing it. I'd love to be a coach. I don't think I could stay away from the sport just because I've grown so attached to it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so we also have a clip of Megan diving in an action diving. So here we go. So you guys are pretty amazing divers. Like I could never make the splash. Do you guys? Is it like the minimal splash as possible? Is that like?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yep.
That's amazing. It's really amazing. I guess a question I would like to ask, like, what was the biggest obstacle, if you had any, in your whole career of diving?
This year was just rough for me in general. There was injury after injury. It started with me hitting my hand on the board on a reverse 1.5. I broke 2 fingers, so they're still pretty painful. Other than that, like I fell off the board. I sprained my left ankle and I bruised my kneecap right before SUNYX, which is our championship meet. So right at our high point in the season, I was really low. I had pain and I had to work through it. So I didn't perform at my best, and it was still good enough to get to nationals, and by the time we got to nationals, I was all healed up and ready to go.
We sure did a good job. What about you, Aaron?
I didn't really have the same hurdle as Megan this year. This was my best year so far. I set all the school records. I set our conference record and our conference meet record. The only thing I really had that was a mental hurdle for me is we have something called vols. We do 11 dives total in a meet, such as nationals, and you do 5 very graceful, beautiful dives that are very easy, and you do 6 very hard dives that look like the stuff in Olympics. And I have a struggle with being graceful and being pretty, so that ended up being my not as good for me at nationals, which I did really well on 3-meter at nationals, the higher board, but I could have done better if I had been a little bit less mental with those. So that was really my hurdle, was just trying to get over the easy stuff.
Yeah. So what do you love most about diving? If you could describe it in a few words, your love of diving.
It's easy for me. It's the feeling that you come up after a good dive. It really is fantastic to come out after you've made the little splash and ripped the water, and when you hit and you come up and you see really high scores on something like that, it's a phenomenal feeling, and to know that you've just accomplished something that's really physically and mentally hard is very rewarding.
I'd have to agree with him. That feeling is really great. I just love the sport. I love being able to do it even on a bad day. So just being able to get on the boards and do something that I have a natural talent for and that I worked so hard for, just to be able to do it feels great.
Your guys' hard work has obviously paid off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming on, Aaron and Megan. That's our show for tonight. I'm Nunnet Clitandre, and thank you.